Welcome to class, everybody. In today's Masterclass Explainer, we're going back to basics. Recently, an 18-year-old on a Reddit forum for entrepreneurs posted a really profound request. They just wanted to learn business from scratch. No formal background, just ambition and a ton of curiosity about how the business world actually works. If you're in that same boat, well, consider this your foundational curriculum. Today, I'm going to act as your mentor and professor, walking you through the absolute essential frameworks of entrepreneurship. But before we dive headfirst into building the next big thing, we have to ask ourselves this critical question. Why do 90% of startups fail before they even get off the ground? It's a daunting statistic, isn't it? But honestly, understanding the root of this failure is the absolute first step to building a resilient foundation. We've got to study the pitfalls so we don't fall right into them ourselves. Okay, let's look at the syllabus for today's explainer. We will cover 1. The startup reality check, 2. Blueprinting your business plan, 3. Mastering the value proposition, 4. Choosing your strategic path, 5. Mapping the business model, and finally, 6. Taking action and testing. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the startup reality check. 90%. That is a massive and, quite frankly, terrifying number. It represents the percentage of startups that just do not succeed. Only 10% of businesses actually make it past those initial stages. And this serves as a really harsh reality check that passion and even a brilliant idea alone will not keep your doors open. The market is completely unforgiving, and your margin for error, it's incredibly slim. Which brings us to a great point. Winging it is simply not a strategy. Winston Churchill really hit the nail on the head here when he said, "He who fails to plan is planning to fail." Trying to build a business without a plan is basically like a ship setting sail without a captain. You're going to get lost at sea pretty fast. To survive that 90% failure rate, you desperately need a compass to guide you through the whole labyrinth of entrepreneurship. And that leads us directly to Section 2, Blueprinting your business plan. Now, building a company without a plan is like building a house without a blueprint. You've got to master these 6 puzzle pieces. But as your professor, I want to highlight 2 absolutely vital elements for any new startup. First up, your market analysis. Think of your business as entering a battlefield. You have to rigorously study your competitors and know exactly who your potential customers are. Second, you must nail your financial projections. This is where you actually crunch the numbers, predict your revenue, and analyze your cash flow. A well-defined business plan covering these elements gives you a tangible, structured approach to actually hitting your goals. All right, moving on to Section 3, Mastering the value proposition. Now that we have a plan, we need to define exactly why anyone should care about your business. That is your value proposition. It's a promise of value that summarizes how your product's benefits will be delivered, experienced, and acquired. Listen, a strong value proposition is absolutely vital for new business success. It's your unique selling proposition. It's that special ingredient that instantly transmits your tangible and intangible benefits to your customer without needing a whole long explanation. Why does it matter? Because it drives sales, builds your customer base, and tells buyers exactly why they should choose you over the guy down the street. But here's the catch. Crafting that value proposition depends entirely on your market. Are you in a B2B or business-to-business market? If you're selling to other companies, your value proposition is usually driven by cold, hard logic, price, and efficiency. Think about selling raw materials like steel. But if you're in a B2C or business-to-consumer market, you are selling final goods directly to everyday people. In that space, your value proposition has to lean heavily on emotions, branding, and personal preferences if you want to stand out in a crowded market. Let's turn to Section 4, Choosing your strategic path. Once you know your audience and your value, it's time for some advanced strategy. How are you actually going to compete? According to Michael Porter's framework, you essentially have to choose between 2 paths. Are you pursuing cost leadership? That means aiming to be the absolute lowest cost producer through extreme operational efficiency, kind of like Walmart. Or are you pursuing a differentiation strategy? That's offering highly unique value that customers will gladly pay a premium for, like Apple. Here's a tip. Small businesses often struggle with cost leadership because they just don't have the scale. So differentiation is usually a much stronger structural advantage to build true customer loyalty. If you do choose differentiation, you might want to look into the blue ocean strategy. In a red ocean, you are fighting rivals in bloody, cutthroat, existing markets. You're just trying to beat the competition on value and cost. But in a blue ocean, you literally invent entirely new, uncontested market spaces. You create new demand out of thin air, making the competition completely irrelevant. So how do you figure out exactly what kind of ocean you're swimming in? Well, you can apply Porter's 5 forces. This framework is a game changer for analyzing external industry pressures. It forces you to look at the threat of new competitors, the threat of substitute products, the bargaining power of your customers, the bargaining power of your suppliers, and the overall strength of existing competition. Understanding these 5 forces dictates just how profitable your chosen industry can actually be. Next up is Section 5, Mapping the Business Model. With your strategy locked in, you need a way to document exactly how your business will operate and make money. Alexander Osterwalder's Business Model Canvas provides 9 building blocks to do just that. It lets you map out everything from your revenue streams, are you charging subscription fees, usage fees, selling assets, all the way down to your fixed and variable cost structures. It forces you to align your key activities and partnerships directly with the value proposition you're offering to your specific customer segments. It puts the whole shebang on a single page. And finally, Section 6, Taking Action and Testing. For our final lesson, we are taking all this academic theory and heading straight into the real world. As one seasoned mentor on Reddit advised our 18-year-old student, reading books is great, but the absolute best way to learn is by doing. The quote says it all. The best thing you can do is just start a business. Pick a simple service, register a company, put up an ad, and just start. Study real local businesses around you, like a car wash or a landscaping company. Ask yourself, how do they make money? Where is it leaking? You're going to learn way more from starting your own tiny venture than you ever will from reading corporate case studies. By getting your hands dirty in the real world, you'll actively practice these 6 key entrepreneurial skills. You'll tap into your creativity to solve unexpected problems and build communication skills to sell your vision. Stepping into a leadership role teaches you how to guide a venture, and you build true financial literacy by managing actual, real-world cash flow. But most importantly, you learn resilience and adaptability. You learn the patience required to avoid really dumb mistakes, like rushing into fleeting trends, borrowing too much money too fast, or stubbornly building a product that the market literally never asked for. So as class comes to a close, I'm going to leave you with a final provocative thought to kickstart your own journey. You've got the frameworks, you know the risks, and you understand why a strong value proposition matters. But before you write a massive business plan or go hunting for funding, ask yourself this. What small, tiny test will you run today to ensure you aren't building something no one asked for? Start small, offer something tiny, and see who actually cares. Class dismissed.